Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. This will be an interesting one today. This is a lesson learned. I know more times than not I will make a statement that said be very careful not to cross strip your cap when replacing it after you've serviced the reel. Well, that's exactly what happened here. The cap went on cross strip, and then the owner tried to wrench it and strip the threads on the gear shaft. And well, in a call for help, it came to me and said, "Can you help me get this back the way it belongs?" So this is what we're going to do. We ordered the pieces and parts. Well, what's the reel? The reel is the Abu Revo Revo. It's the Premier. Very nice reel. Unfortunately, it's well, gotten messed up a little bit here. I'm just trying to see if we can even get this off easily. I'm trying. They really did wrench it on, and hopefully we don't damage anything else while we do it. If I have to cut it off, it's okay. I have the axle shaft and everything. I'm not quite sure what's going on here. I'd even be just plain turning it. Yeah. Well, very interesting all around. I don't know how they did that. You know what? Silly me. This is a left-handed reel, so I wind up tightening the darn thing rather than loosening it. All right. Well, lessons learned. Okay. Bring that off. We're going to show you what the reel is made of, how to service this reel, how to replace the gear shaft and the components that were damaged from this over-tightening. And well, we're going to get this reel fishing again. There's no question about it. If you like these types of videos, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel. And if you do subscribe to my channel, please use that notification button. That'll let you know when I'm posting. And well, you can see if it's a reel that you're interested in learning more about. And perhaps you have that reel. And well, you'll learn how to service it. This has a stack. There's a couple of torsion washers inside the click or noisemaker. And this is where I generally tell you take pictures as you're taking the reel apart. That way, if you get stuck along the way, you'll be able to take a moment, go back, use those pictures, get a reference point, and move forward. Now, fortunately with this one, the schematic is included in the box. That was great because I had to order those pieces and parts that were broken. But if you don't have the box and the schematics, you can go to the internet. There are sites out there. If you just put in Abu Revo reel schematic, you will get those. And well, that'll help you see the burst diagram for the reel. And well, that'll help you to know what to anticipate as you take the reel apart. And more importantly, if you get stuck, how to get it back together again. I think this is a slide bar which should release and enable us to open up the side case here. That's a pull up, some pull up, some pull down. There's a, I guess this has magnetic braking on it. It does, and a ball bearing in the middle. I'm going to oil that ball bearing, just set that aside. Same with this. This is a, just going to lay these down. And well, there's nothing much going on this side that you need to be aware of. We just serviced the bearing. Now let's take this side off because that's where this is housed. We have two more screws here, and I was looking underneath to see, and we have another screw holding it in from the inside here. Let's see if the regular screwdriver can get at those, or if I am going to need a micro screwdriver. Well, looks like we can get it out with this one. Probably have to put it back in with a micro screwdriver. Not sure. I keep a lot of tools right on hand here because, well, you're never quite sure what you're going to need and when you're going to need it. And especially with something like this, where we have the reel is cradled in my hand. I'm trying to make some mental notes here about the pieces and parts that are coming off and where they're coming off from. And if you don't need to put the reel down, you're probably better off for that. So my advice is keep the necessary ones. And what are they? They're generally a screwdriver or 2 or 3 or a set of them, as well as some pliers, a couple of wrenches. They're all within reach for me. And I'm hoping here with those 3 screws we should be able to remove this now. Oh, there's one more hiding. Look at that. There's one on the back side. If you find that you're struggling with something and well, it's just not working well for you, don't pull anything, don't force anything. Just take your time and try to work it. Take a look like we just did. We examined and found out there's a backside screw here for the weep hole. So keep those 2 screws together. Make a note where your pieces and parts come from. All 4 of those screws were different. And now we can pull off the side plate here and look underneath. Underneath this we have the anti-reverse clutch and the inner ring. There's some dirty grease, so I'm going to wipe that out of there. We can come over and see how high speed this reel is. It's a very big gear. First things I want to do is take those yoke springs off because they tend to fall. Now we can remove the main gear. And this is what we're getting at. We're getting at this shaft now that needs to be removed. We're going to take the yoke and the pinion gear. Put that off to the side. And well, part 2 of this says we've got some damaged threads up here. We've got the replacement part. Let's go ahead and get to that. So we're going to remove the 2 screws that are holding this on. I'm going to keep this all right on the table here because this is kind of a quick change out, but I don't want to lose those 2 screws. We have a bearing on the back side that's held in by an E-clip that has to be removed. Just keep working it. Series of little different tools. Got it mostly out here. I just got to lift it up and I don't want it to shoot. There we go. That's out now. I think it's out. Yep, got it out. Okay. This is the clip we've been working on. Yeah, I don't have my gloves today. I wasn't expecting this to be a very difficult part swap, but it may be. Well, the clip goes into the box. Here's our bearing, our bracket, a shim washer, and then a plastic gear that's going to drive it. Well, you noticed I took those out right in the order that they're going to go back in. That's one way of organizing your pieces and parts. And I would encourage you, regardless of what system you use, to have a system before you go too far in your disassembly of a reel. All right, that goes back on. This goes back on. That needs to be squared up on the shoulders of that piece. Bracket goes on. Bearing goes on. Now we can grab that E-clip and put that back on. So we've just essentially turned it around from the way we had it. And well, we're back ready to put this back in the reel then. It's got a bearing in it. Let's oil the bearing. Line the bearing pieces up. I'm going to use that little pick as the way to do that. Fortunately, I have 2 of them. There's a little stud I'm trying to get these on with. Alright, I took a moment to find my little tie-down screws here. We took those off with a kind of a micro Phillips head. I'm going to use some grease to try and hold that as I center those screws and tie them down. And we got the one in. These small parts are tough, so make sure that you manage them when you're taking these types of things off. Okay, well, I just stopped for a moment, put a glove on my hand, and well, let's just do the service of the Pawl while we have this micro screwdriver here. And again, 2 very small screws. Make sure you know how to manage your little pieces and parts. They're easy to lose and hard to replace. Well, if you have a question on this reel or any reel, if you want to leave that question in the comments section, I will try to answer that for you. We've removed that little bezel so that we can get to the Pawl cap. And we would like to remove the Pawl now. Generally, if you just kind of lightly tap it. When you lightly tap, it should start to come out, which this did. And you can see why we wanted to service this Pawl. This is just full of old dirt and grease inside here. So we're going to clean all that out off. That will bog down the performance in the tracks. I got a good amount of that off. Let's take a micro screwdriver or something and run that over it. One side's got a clean shoulder, and this side's still got a little bit of dirt in there. Okay. Go ahead. I think the next thing I want to do is take a paper towel and run that worm gear. And we put a drop of oil into the carrier. Let's bring this over. There's a little bit of dirt there, so I want to clean the inside of the case while I have that opportunity. Okay, and then we can reinsert the Pawl. And there was a bar that came out here, so we want to get the bar in both sides. Make sure it anchors into the far hole in the corner over here, otherwise your bezel won't go back on. I have that bar in upside down. Oh, I guess it's the same on both sides. Alright, let's just put that back in. There we go. Alright, now we're in. Okay, Pawl is in. Hold your Pawl, turn your reel, and it will seat. It'll bring it back to flat. Hand thread your cap. Let's not make the mistake that was made. And there goes that bar. Let's not make the mistake that was made with the handle nut. With the Pawl cap, you don't want to crack that. Okay, bring this piece back again. And once you've reestablished that post, let's take that bezel, put that back on. And the 2 screws, which have just been lingering on my desk here, go next. Again, be careful with these. And this is a left-handed side crank reel, so everything is kind of opposite. So if you have one of these, it's an even numbered reel, not an odd numbered reel, then you're going to kind of do the same thing I'm doing, but you will be working from the other side. Alright, turn it, make sure your line guide's nice and smooth. and we can move on. Okay, let's take a look at that pinion gear assembly. That would be next. On that pinion gear, you're going to find a side that has ramped slopes on it. That's going to face inward towards the spool. You want to make sure you clean up the yoke, get all that old grease off of there. Check your pinion gear. To install your pinion gear, you should know how it works. There is a through shaft here that goes through that pinion gear. It's going to rest in a hole here. This is kind of fun to understand. So when you're engaged, it's like that. Notice the spacing in the back. When you use the yoke to pull it out for casting, it pulls it along that shaft. So that's the way it will install. I'm going to put some fresh grease onto that. I've checked the teeth on the pinion gear, made sure that they were all uniform and clean. And we can go ahead and move that up. Remember what I said, the ramps go inside like this. And the whole assembly comes over the top, just like that. Let's take a look at the main gear then. The main gear is a big gear, but it has limited drag. In other words, the whole drag does not fill the space of that main gear. Install the trip ratchet, the hard washer. These are pretty much all hard washers. These almost look like Jigmaster type of jigs, drag washers. These are Carbon Tex. They don't need to be lubed. If you choose to lube them, do what I'm going to do here. Take one of the washers, just put a little bit of grease onto it, roll it around on both sides, and wipe off the excess. With the first part on, inspect the main gear. These are all clean. And it's always easier to put the drag washers in when the main gear is on the stem. So go ahead and do that. And again, the left-handed reel, so there's subtle differences, but for the most part, what we're doing here applies to the right-handed side of the reel as well. All right, main gear goes over that washer, and you make sure it intersects with the pinion gear. This is the first one that we greased up. That goes in. You've got 3 different washers here. You have a flat-keyed washer, you have a belled-keyed washer, and you have an eared washer. The flat-keyed washer is the first one back into the stack. I'm going to do that twice more with these washers. Just a little bit. Again, if you have too much on there, wipe it off. The reel doesn't benefit from gobs of grease in there. The whole idea is just to keep the fabrics fresh so that they don't crack. And since Carbon Tex have a limited amount of porousness to them, they can't absorb much, so you don't need to do much with them. Alright, with the grease out of the way, let's go ahead and install the spool back in. Looking for my scissor because I got this line which undoubtedly will trap and reinstall. These have an interesting centrifugal brake. They will fall out if and when needed. I'm going to hold my main gear, put my... Can't do that yet. Can't do that yet. Do you know why I can't do that yet? Well, there's a screw that goes behind that spool. So we're going to finish the side plate installation on this side. That involves the 2 springs that go on top of the yoke. We have the sleeve spacer. Clean the spacer, wipe it free of debris. You don't oil anti-reverse one-way clutches, but they do need to be cleaned. All right, grab your side plate cover then, find the hole for that the side plate release, bring the whole assembly up, make sure that you have a nice tight seal all the way around. And now it's time to put those screws in. So We had 3 different screws. You should have marked the location for those. If you did not, go back to your pictures. Make sure that you identify which screws belong where. So it's the wide screw belongs kind of bottom of the gear stack. Smaller screw comes up top. And then we had the black colored screw is in the back holding the case. And then we had the drip screw, the Pawl. This is the screw that attaches in the back. And then we can grab that Pawl and its screw to finish the bottom piece here. The cover comes on this way. Seats and snaps in place. Screw comes here. All right, the case is done. Case is done. We've reset the axle shaft or gear sleeve. Turn it, make sure it works. It's doing what it should be doing. That's all good. All right, now we can take our spool, bring that in, close up those little centrifugal force bearings. This one came in from the top, unloaded from the top, if you will, so reload that. Bring it down into place. You'll hear that nice lock, and now we have to lock the hold fast screw. Now we want to bring our noisemaker and our tension washers in. There's 2 tension washers on top of that click mechanism. Next up then is our star adjuster. This is where I get messed up when I'm working on left-hand reels. I got to remember everything kind of turns opposite. There we go. All good there. Okay, 2 of these little washers, one goes below, one goes above. Above. Now we need the new cap. And this time we're going to make sure that it's hand threaded. Again, this is a left-handed reel, so it's threaded opposite direction. And make sure you can turn that cap nice and easy. If you can't do what I'm doing here, you've got it cross-threaded, and you're going to have the same problem in the future that they had here that required the service. Okay, just looking for my wrench. And we can try to test that. Alright, that handle is nice and square, unlike the others. And I think we've got this. Left-handed reel. Turns nice and free and easy. Let's make sure all the features and functions work. Let's go into free spool, spin it, casts well, close it up. Is the drag holding? Well, we need to tighten down that drag. Make sure that those are holding. Yep. The Legs are holding fine, so back them off. And that's it. So that's your Abu Revo Premier. And, well, we had to do some surgery there. We had a cross-stripped gear shaft and a nut that was wrenched on, which caused the handle to not tighten up, but rather flop around. Well, we've taken care of all of that. We have a nice solid handle now. We showed you how to rebuild and resurface the wheel. And, well, the good news is this one gets a second chance to go fishing again. I hope you've enjoyed that. And again, if you did, please like the video. And if I haven't asked you to subscribe, or if you're still with me, please subscribe. The subscriptions and our subscribers and our base in the community is what makes this channel successful, and what I depend upon to well, keep the channel going and thriving. I want to take a minute and thank our first responders, our police, fire, safety, rescue, and everybody involved in public safety. I truly appreciate everything it is that you do. To everyone, I want to wish you well. I hope you're enjoying the art of wheel service and repair. And, well, wish you great times on the water, make a lot of friends, catch a lot of fish, and keep watching. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Have a great day.